Can you hear me now, Henry? Yeah, I just figured I'd do a little stream with these guys pigging out a bit. For some reason I can't get chat to stay up. Ah, there we go. I'll have to check out that Fish Fam link. This mama guppy and, well, no, this one. And she's got a sister in there, both about 4 years old. I think Timothy Leary was teaching Cheech and Chong the secrets of the universe, or the key to the universe. Yeah, they not as hungry as I thought they would be. Got a couple little pea puffers down here. I don't know if they'll eat that stuff. They prefer fresh. This little pea puffer's camouflage quite well. I don't know if you can see that little guy right there, hiding in the LRB Rotala colorata. Seems to be their favorite plant. And LRB guppy grass. I supply about half of Missoula with guppy grass, all from him. From Idaho, depending which way you go, probably about anywhere, taking Highway 12 about 40 miles from the border. Yeah, depending which way we go over. If you go over the interstate over to, say, Spokane or Coeur d'Alene, that's about 80 to 90 miles. That's my first time doing a horizontal live, and for some reason I can't get chat to stay up. I don't know if that's normal. I have to click on it to refresh every couple seconds. Is the best state Florida? Long ways if that's so. From where I'm at, it's actually quicker driving to Northern California than to drive across the state. Pea Puffer there, hunting for scuds or picking off a couple guppy fry. Okay. I just thought it was me being some dumb old dude that didn't know what he was doing. Yeah, I finally got those coals out of here. Yeah, my computer up with chat. I can see it across the room, but yeah, just can't read it from here. The loach is doing pretty good. He's got an owie on his back now, but he's always been a bit of a doof. Always hurting himself. He actually somehow broke one of his barbels when he was really young. It's like, how do you do that? But yeah, his swim bladder's back to normal. Some foot infection is pretty much done. So yeah, he's farting fabulously now. These are mostly from the Japanese blue. When they didn't allow the females in America for the longest time, and I actually, from studying them, found a couple females in the pet stores. Like, oh wow, you know, they're from a coal tank, so they're probably crossbred. But got them and started breeding them from, you know, what they had to do quite a few culls. And right now this is, well, this big mama here, she's one of my F1s, and she's about 4 years old now. I don't know if it'd be an F1, but like first generation, bred in my tank. And there's some mixed genetics. I have some kind of dragon type mixed in there and some other stuff just to kind of mix up the genetics. And this one here I keep semi-pure. I actually have a really pure Japanese blue underneath my albino guppy tank, but it's down near the floor, so it's hard to record. No new Hillstream loaches yet. Want to try to get some, but probably wait till this fall. Worked the last couple days setting up the breeding room to get my LRB CPDs breeding. Hopeful to have some success there. And also have the 40-gallon breeder kind of arranged to start a Hillstream loach tank with a bunch of this river rock that I acquired. Just got to get a little bit more sand first and get her cycling. I have some of these really beautiful longfin leopard Danios in here. Always hoped that they would breed, but I think there's just too much going on, and especially now with all these trouble dudes in here, you know, I don't think any eggs will make it. Oh, and before them, this tank was so snail infested. You see in my archive videos of this tank where it was just completely covered, like you couldn't see the fish through the snails. Yeah, I really want to get some of his rainbow fish. I want to get his Goodyeds first, though. I kind of like stuff that I can keep in cooler water. Actually, none of my tanks are heated. But I think by heating them, I would improve my breeding success, especially with my egg layers. Guppies, they breed just fine even with the cool water. Really like to get set up with some killifish. Try to get some blue glarnus going or something like that. Just want to find some good genetics. Yeah, I've got 10 Pea Puffers in here. About 2 years, year and a half. Haven't had to feed them a single time. I got them when they were babies. Put them in here, and there's enough scud, shrimp, and everything. They just, and snails. Never had to feed them. That's nice in that I don't have to worry about them when I'm away. But what sucks is, you know, the people that feed their Pea Puffers, they always have the peas that come up to see them. These guys could care less about me. But they'll watch me from across the room. If I'm about 6 feet away, they'll sit there and keep an eye on me. Yeah, I saw that killifish order. I bet that'll be pretty wild. Yeah, they're not so crazy for the Sarah O nip tab up here after eating all that brine shrimp. Going to be redoing this tank the next couple of weeks. Gonna try to fill it a little closer to the top. Get rid of some of the house plants that are in it and let it grow into more of a water plant jungle. Well, I may be ending this here in a little bit. I'm going to wait till probably another 9 minutes and shut her down. Just thought it'd be cool to get a little late night video. Man, need to get a better tripod. I was trying to keep duckweed out of this tank and ended up getting it. Figured the only way to get rid of it would be to just raise the water level up above the other plants and scoop it all out. Yeah, it's about 11 o'clock here, so see, it's probably getting close to midnight for Jeff and 1 a.m. for Henry. Yeah, I used to, but anymore. Plus, I work 9 to 5 in the through the week, or 8 to 5, and I can't do those Superman hours anymore. Yeah, I think I'm 47, something like that. I was born in 78. Not quite 50 yet, but coming up quick. You ever get your new water change system finished yet, or still working on that, Henry? Yeah, it's the only one I have good light on this time of night. Green water tank, have the light on it, but actually, let me try coming over here to the coal guppy tank. ride. Bring some over here to these guys. This ram's horn right here, I want to make a video on him someday, but lighting's not good right now. But he was actually frozen solid in ice last winter for 3 months. Solid block of ice. I was in one of my mosquito larvae tanks I had outside, and brought it in midwinter. I was going to use it for some CPD stuff and thaw it out. And he started moving around. It's like, huh. Yeah, that thing was frozen rock solid for at least 3 months. Yeah, all those little pieces and stuff, they add up, and then you think you got everything you need, and then there's, oh, needed something else. These are my albinos, or they're yellow. I don't know if they're technically albino. They have dark eyes, but if I leave them in the other tanks, they get eaten. Something about those little yellow fry just attract all the other fish, so put them in here to keep them safe and they can reproduce. Got some really cool colors though. Are you using like a pond type pump? You got enough tanks, you could probably do business with that that aquarium store that you have to call. I can't remember their name. They sell all the stuff for setting up fish rooms. Okay, flood pump. Yeah, it's probably a little bit more industrial. Probably good at moving a lot of water fast too. Lower this a little bit. Oh yeah, that glare's horrible. Change the color temperature. Oh. Yeah, it all looks bad. Yeah, I just figured I'd start trying it out a little bit. Try to learn how to use the features. A couple little scuds here. Yeah, I fed these guys a little bit of brine shrimp earlier, so they're not quite as full. This tank below them, camera down here, it's the one that I have all the Japanese blue in, full of snails. Grab a handful of snails out of there every day or two. Throw them in the goldfish and loach tank. Shabunkin loves them. Yeah, I really want to figure out a automatic egg collector, or try to make one. Seen some videos. I want to use kind of like an air pump. I want to use it for my CPDs, where I could just pump them into like a in-box tank and kind of have maybe some Java moss with the screen that it sits on, and using air to pump it into a little box or something. But with the barbs, I can't remember, did you have a rock pile in there, trying it kind of like Lucas was doing it? Yeah. Yeah, I only have a couple tanks on air. This one, as you can see, just got a non-functioning pump here, and the other one that's in here is maybe a drip a minute. But my big tank, I have a couple of pumps in there keeping water flow, and my goldfish loach tank, I run air in that one also. Most of the time I just want something to break up the protein layer on the surface of the water, because it gets pretty thick because I power feed most of my tanks. Yeah, just having a big central pump I could run everything off of. I'm just kind of at the point where it makes sense as far as number of tanks. Once I get everything going in the other room, I'll probably run some type of central air tank in there. Then reduce the tanks in this room by a couple. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the mascara barbs. I think they're cool, but yeah, I don't think... There's a lot of other stuff I want to work with first before I go down the barb road. They do look really cool though when they get big. Maybe we can go over to the green water tank and get a little bit with them. Tripod. Grab some food. Some real pretty ones in here. That's where I'm breeding the purples. Yeah, I want to get there with the racks. Not yet. Sometimes it's so dark in here they don't know we got food. Now they'll start coming up. See this male back here. If you can see his purple. Yeah, the green water really helps them get deep color. Mama. Part of my problem is just room in the house, and have a bedroom that I don't use, so kind of setting that up as more of a breeding room. Might have stuff heated in there to help. I think that'll help with some of the breeding. That little male guppy right there is one of the coals from that video the other day. They're right here. There's another purple male, kind of the dragon Dumbo ear style. Those came from across from the Santa Maria, and then threw about every other type of purple guppy I could ever find in here to colony breed. This tank is full of fish. I'm estimating about, probably only about 200 right now. It gets up to about 300 though at times. And the fish out of the green water tank are always super fat and thick. They're always healthy. So there's the bigger coal male from the video last week. Got both of them. Figured I'd put them in here since they had purple coloration. But this tank here, what happens if you don't have water trickling in it is the fish will die from CO2 poisoning at night because there's so much photosynthesis happening in that green water that at night it gets extreme amounts of CO2 come out at night, you know, just before sunlight, and all my fish would be gasping air at the top, and like, I wonder if I should put some aeration in there, and sure enough that fixed it. Let's see with these guppies, I was hoping I could find a mature female, but they get a bright blue tail on them. These are definitely not a straight line yet, just still working on coming up with something completely original. I think the fish I'd love to have the most, I really like well, my favorite fish is the dojo loach, just because they're so goofy and fun, and like to be held. But other than that, I really like the hill stream loaches. But I want to do some of those wild betas that you can community breed. Excuse me. There's some that I guess are more cool water tolerant that you can keep in a community, at least multiple females with the male. I'm thinking about some of them, Goodeids, well, rainbow shiners. That's probably I think that's what they're called. One's at AquaPro's breeding right now. I think the rainbow shiners. I don't know, there's just so much. You do have them. You're going to have everything pretty soon. And those killifish, those will certainly keep you busy. Yeah, it would be cool to find some other colors. I know I think they have like those dwarf bluegill or something like that. I don't know if they're a live bear, but they look kind of like a Goodeiid. Wasn't sure if they were a live bear or not. Here's one that's more of a blue, kind of like a midnight sky blue. He's a jumper. kind of teal one. And here's one of the females. Try to get them used to being handled. Makes it easier if I need to move them from tank to tank. Yeah, that's quite a selection. I'm guessing most of those breed somewhat differently too. Let's see if there's any of those that are annuals, but probably have some that'll community breed in there, some that might be dry hatch. Just had a big mama there. Oh, looks like it locked up. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, I've mostly studied the blue galarnus, or however you say that, because that's the one I've always been most excited about. But I know they can be sometimes in tank, and sometimes you have to dry them. Or both ways work with them. Yeah, no pipefish. I have thought about doing some half beaks. They'd probably reproduce well with tank with a bunch of guppy fry. They'd have an endless of live food, but you just have to find a way to protect the babies from the adult half beaks. I think if you had a lot of floating plants, though, that might help. Back to the get the camera off here. There we go. Go back to the humidity tank. Still working on that Sarah O nip there. Yeah, so full they're having to poop. making room for more. See the big Chinese algae eater protecting his lair. Looks like most of the pea puffers have gone to bed, hiding, looking for scuds. Yeah, this tank, I'm going to be removing this celery, pothos, and this philodendron. I'm going to have this tub here full of spider plants. I sometimes run my water through it as a extra filter, but the problem I have is that it eats too much nitrates from the other plants, so I leave it mostly running in there. I have this house plant here off of the nub of a going to remove that plant. Try filling this thing up with more water. It's just the living room, and it's served me well for, you know, I can do some stuff in it, but I've just outgrown it and want to produce more fish, especially the CPDs. Want to get multiple tanks set up that I can do some musical tanks with, experiment with different water hardnesses. The water here is extremely hard, but it's only about 7.2 pH. The TDS is about 220. It's good water. I think I got things pretty well situated today, at least for what I have room for. I have a table I can put some 20 longs on, a table I can put a row of 10s on, big desk that I have a 40 on, and I'll probably put a couple other 40s on the floor. Yeah, for me it's just finding any way to squeeze it in I can. There's that stump. There's all sorts of tunnels in it. It's actually a pine stump. When I first put it in here, it was leaching sap for about a year. Fish all seemed okay though. I know they say not to do it, but I'm always doing the things they say not to do. Like putting pea puffers in a community tank. I've had people on the Facebook forums tell me that I'm a monster for putting pea puffers in here with these guppies, that the pea puffers would chew all their tails off. But as you can see, every guppy has an intact tail. Yeah, a lot of the mountain water isn't quite as hard, but the area of Montana I'm at is kind of in the middle of a bunch of limestone and ancient seabed in the mountains full of calcium, so it's kind of a oddity compared to like on the Washington, Idaho side where their water's super soft. It's amazing the size of her compared to those males. And she's one that anytime I put my hand in the tank, she'll get right into my hand. She's been moved around so many times in the years. She kind of likes it. She's also one of the only ones that'll beg for food. Or she'll come looking at me knowing that if she catches my attention, I might feed him. Get smart with age. Big Pea Puffer. Right there. Big mama. Ooh, little male coming in. The shrimp that are bigger than the puffers. Amazing how well they blend in. That guy there. She's gonna bite him. Pea Puffers are something I would like to get a big community. I'd like to get a tall column tank with a big stump in the middle of it, stuffed full of Java moss and different plants for bugs and pea puffer food to live in, and just watch them hunt up and down it all the time. Yeah, now he's trying to be like a badass in front of these guppies. They're funny. I think they're so tough. So my little guys. Big monstrous Chinese algae eater that attacks everything in your tank. Got 3 of them in here. Never been a problem for me, but also I have smaller fish. You know, I was going to go down there today, but I was just not feeling it. I was actually thinking about getting it, and when I take this celery out of this little thing here, I was thinking about just using it for putting the plant in, or maybe putting it in my goldfish loach tank. Yeah, this guy's a lot smaller. Little male. So excited when I got him. I wanted to get him into food right away. I didn't quarantine him, and puffers. These were wild caught, so of course they were full of worms. But I'm hopeful if I can get these guys to breed, I can get some without worms by collecting the eggs and hatching them in a different tank. And they're all coming out. There's 10 puffers in here. You rarely see them all at once. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, it looks like, maybe 5. Problem is that big stump in here, no matter how much you change the water, it's always a little yellow. You have the tannins, makes it difficult to see all the way through. Yeah, I want to get a black worm culture. That seems like that's acting like a little tough guy. Guess that's kind of the secret to pea puffer breeding, is a tank with a good community of black worms that they can eat constantly. This stuff here is the LRB Rotala colorata. I bought it, well, I tried to order it from him, but when it was moving, so I got it from that aquarium piece dude. But it was when Lucas was still helping him ship and everything. But I got it and the guppy grass then. Took forever for this stuff to take off. You know, the finding out about Easy Green helped quite a bit, but the really big thing for me was the Aquarium Co-op root tabs, because they love to suck up nutrients from the roots, and they love a lot of light. And this light I have on top is a 5,000 lumen shop light. These fish up here in this leaf fighting. I wonder if they want out. You can see the scuds all over in there. All the fry. Yeah, I love lots of plants because the amount of food I feed this thing. I feed all of my tanks at least 8 times a day. When I'm off, though, I try to feed them almost every hour, every 2 hours. Yeah, I haven't had problems with them with my shrimp, but these blue velvets, they're pretty big. You know, they compete for a lot of the same foods, but the biggest problem I have with the scuds is any eggs that are laid. They'll definitely eat them before they get a chance to hatch if the snails or the Chinese algae eaters don't get there first. But I know, like for the pea puffers, it makes a really good food source for them. So if they're getting ready to pack hunt here, it's funny how they like to zoom around acting all tough. Kind of remind me of like a biker gang. But yeah, in my breeding tanks, I'm going to try to keep them scud free. Probably shrimp free too. I always struggle because I like ecosystem tanks. I like to make sure I have scuds and shrimp and snails and algae before I put any fish in there. But, you know, it's breeding tanks are not necessarily it's best for the fish, but better for production, I guess. Nope, never had planaria, but I don't feed much frozen brine shrimp either. I feed it once in a while, but I try to avoid it just because of that. I will be hatching some live brine shrimp though, and I've heard that they can come in with that as well. Hey Mexicali. It's doing some late night. Community tank. The pea puffers are out and about, acting like tough little dudes. They just remind me of like a pack of bikers cruising around doing their thing. Yeah, we started off with some frozen brine shrimp, or freeze-dried brine shrimp. Now they're working on a Sarah nip tab, whatever they call them. I'll wait until you see the rocks I have for the Hillstream Loach tank. I have a bunch of river polished agate, fist size, all sorts of shapes and sizes, but it's kind of semi-translucent, super smooth. Yeah, it'll be pretty cool when I get that set up. I just need a little bit more sand to line the bottom with before I put all the agate and quartz in it. Hey Jeff, made it back. Yeah, didn't plan on being on here this long, but puffers came out. Yeah, I'll be doing a video on it. Once I get the sand in, I'll probably do a video of me setting up the rock in the tank and getting some water in it, and probably throw some mulm in there or something to get some biology started and give it a month. Some good algae on the rock. It's a showdown. Yeah, I'm hoping to get this tank redone before the end of this week. Get rid of that duckweed. Fill it up a bit higher. It looks like all the pea puffers are hiding now. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have about 15 aquariums set up right now with fish. About 4 or 5 tubs for scuds and bugs and paramecium and mosquito larvae. And then have more than 40 tanks out in the carport. But back in the breeding room, I'm starting to set up. Oh, looky here. I got another male I'm going to have to cull. It's now starting to show his colors. Right after I thought I got rid of all those. Yeah, a bunch of 10s, 20 longs. Yeah. I wish I could do a couple hundred. I'd actually like to get a rack of about 100 10s just to do killifish in. Yeah, I'm probably going to move some of the 10s and 20s out of this room back into there. I'm going to have to leave my green water tank out here because it loves the sun. But some of my other 10s and 20s, get them out of here. What if I can catch this guy? Nope. He's going to be too shy. Yeah, are you getting much reproduction on your Goodyids yet? Really want to try some more live bears. I want to get a bunch of those blueberry snails, but pricing those outrageous right now. Not quite old enough yet. Yeah, you can get a breeding kit of them from that Moonlight Aquatics for about $100. Then it's $50 in shipping. Thought about just getting like two, like a pair or two, but it's still $50 in shipping. It's like, I know that's probably nothing for you, Henry, but yeah, I'm super cheap. Yeah, I gotta get that guy out of here. Get him used to me so I can call him too. Yeah, Moonlight Aquatics, I know, oh, Alex, he has a code. I can't remember if it's like 5 or 10% off your order. But yeah, if you just kind of, I think in the description of his videos, he has it listed there. And I think Steenfot, he might have a discount code there too. But yeah, certainly take advantage of any discount you can get. Yeah, for me, it's like he's just over the mountain. I wish I could just have him ship me priority, and it might be $10 instead of 50. Take just as much time. That'd be awesome. Looks like the Danios are back. Some of the peas. These two are almost kind of acting. I don't know if they're courting or he's wanting to and she's not wanting him to. At these leopard Danios, there's just one female. Let's see, her right. Can't see her right there. If you look at her fins, they're always tattered, and she almost always has a little bit of blood coming off of her tail. So the males are just at her constantly. She has such long flowing fins. I always wish that I could have got some fry out of them. But I just think there's too many snails and everything else in here for them to make it. Yeah, I think they have one baby at a time and they're live bears. It'll just kind of, they'll pop out from underneath their shell. I think it's about one every 38 days. I think it's just a little over a month. Once a person gets, 10 or 20, if you can make, I'll say, if you have 10 pairs, you get 50% reproduction. So every other's going to be a male. So that would be, with 10 pairs, that would be a potential of 5 baby snails every, say, 40 days. And then, so then you'd be at 15. And then another 40 days. Yeah, just keep compounding. They seem like they do pretty well from what I've heard. Yeah, the thing with them, I think, is patience. I think in a year or two, they're going to be probably reasonably priced because they multiply slow but steady. But since they're brand new, They're asking a premium for them. And that's the snail that could potentially be named after Corey from Aquarium Co-op. They're trying to, that's one of the potential scientific names they're working on. Yeah, I'd really like to do killifish, just for being able to have that consistency, or, put them away and store them for a certain number of months to where when your hatch is going to be, and you can calculate when they'll be sellable size and what time of year. And guy. Yeah, I've heard that you don't have to with the, I'd watched Lucas years ago with the blue glarus, and he was always talking about drying them. But I think it's, I can't remember if it's Gary Lang. He just lets them, I can't remember if he's the one that does the marble trick or if he's the one that just does the peat moss. But I thought doing something like the marble trick would be kind of cool, and just kind of gravel vac the eggs out. Just have some marbles on the bottom of the tank and gravel vac it a couple times a week and see what kind of eggs you get. Yeah, this tank originally was infested with, where is it? I don't know if you can see it from here. The Malaysian trumpet snails. But over time, as my plants grew, the ram's horn snails took over and starved out the Malaysian trumpet snails. But now that I have the Pea Puffers in here, they're eating enough of the ram's horns that the Malaysian trumpet snails are coming back. And this is what I call my snail shell graveyard over here. I actually vacuumed that up. I actually pour it back in. I put it kind of in the back of the tank, but I did actually gravel vac this about a week and a half ago. So that's all fresh. About half an inch of dead snails or snail shells, and for some reason they always eat them over here. Or maybe the flow of the tank just blows them all back into that corner. But it's been kind of nice, kind of getting my Malaysian trumpet snails back. Yeah, marble in your tank that, oh, I get it. Ah, yeah, I didn't think about them sticking to the marbles. You would have to dump them out, huh? Yeah, I watched them dumping them out and kind of going through all that. I was like, oh, I could just gravel vacuum. Forgot about them being adhesive. Yeah, I actually ran into a It's like a 10-pound brick of, oh no, it was a 10-pound brick of the coconut coir, or whatever they call it. It's compressed. And I also got a, I'm guessing a 50 or 60-pound bag, or it's almost like a big brick of organic peat moss. Deal I couldn't refuse. So now, if I ever do get some killies, I'll kind of set up. Yeah, with the spawning mops, that's something I think I'm going to have to give in and do. I've always tried using Java moss. It works okay, but I just haven't had good success with it. I think the spawning mop might hold the eggs in and keep them safer. Need to make some and give it a try. Yeah, I've been kind of getting ready to walk into my local fish store, and one day they have it, and I'm like, oh, I can't pass it up. Actually, I've been kind of waiting for Lucas to get back into it. Always thought it would be cool to have some of his genetics or something that he was lining out. And I know there's different collection points and color grades, and a lot of them don't look very blue, but I remember the ones that he had, they were that really cool blue color, and I'd like to try to get some of those if I could. Like the peas all, well, most of them went into hiding. This guy's over here still trying to play tough guy. And even the ones that aren't blue, I think, are really pretty. It's just, I really want the blue. There's other killies I think are cool too. It's just those ones are kind of my, I don't know if you say like a bucket list fish, or one of my most desired. I got into saltwater aquariums about 15 years ago because of the, I don't know if you've ever heard of the psychedelic mandarin. They're really cool looking fish. That's kind of what got me into ecosystem aquariums, is because in a saltwater tank, there's nothing that you can feed them. You have to have a tank that creates enough. They're basically like scuds, what they eat, that they can live off of that. And I had one for a while, and I had a really bad cyanobacteria bloom and killed the tank, and salt water was just a little too expensive for me. Might get into it again someday, but doing these ecosystem type tanks, especially like these, that they're not heated, minimal filtration. This one here actually ran without filters for a long time, but part of how I filter this tank is I use that power head to circulate water around, and back in this corner behind that stump is where everything kind of settles, and then the plant roots and everything back in there suck up all the mulm, Yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the butt. And any more with salt water, like the reef tanks, it's all about the fake lights and all that. And I don't like the artificial. I like it naturally beautiful, to where you can have a super ugly light on your tank and the fish still look pretty. Coming up to say hi. Their eyes are cool. Ones that have some really trippy eyes sometimes are the Chinese algae eaters. They can kind of flash them at you sometimes. It's weird. You'll just be sitting there and you'll just see this little strobe. I always hope someday to catch these guys eating a shrimp. I know they eat the shrimplets, but I've never actually seen them eating a shrimp. Lots of snails and a few scuds. But I know they eat the scuds too, because sometimes the scuds almost get demolished from this tank. Then when that happens, I have to go to those sponge filters and clean them out, and it's usually thousands of scuds in them every time I clean them. Yeah, no brackish. I'm thinking I really want to do some of those large wild sailfin mollies that, can't remember if it's Greg Sage that has them. They take almost brackish water to be successful with them, and I really want to get some because they're beautiful. And these guppies, you can do guppies in brackish water. But I do add a little bit of marine salt to this tank from time to time just for the nutrition, but I don't do it heavy. So I don't know how the Pea Puffers would handle it, or especially the Danios. Danios, I think, are more sensitive. Some of the mollies, yeah, something I've always wanted to get is a big sailfin, but I've never had luck with them. Just my water's just not hard enough, and I think it's where I'm sourcing them. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I'll have to look at his videos, and I wonder if he's got them. I've been hoping over time someone can get them more transitioned over to fresh water. They don't like your water, so yeah, I wonder if they are still like it salty. And as always thought in here, just having one of them displaying their sailfin, I don't know, just always been one of my favorite fish dances. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to look into that, see what kind of TDS he's got. Yeah. This water in this tank is about 260 TDS. My actual tap water, it's closer to about 230 from evaporation and I think all the fertilizer and food I put in here and all the coral and snail shells. Yeah, you live right down there. You could probably, if you had an underwater camera, get some pretty awesome footage of them. And I thought about getting a RO filter system. I think the hardness of the water is really affecting my ability with some of the egg scattering fish. The guppies love the hard water. The shrimp and snails sure do, but are you catching those mollies in a stream or going for the coast? Oh no, a fish that's hard to catch. These guys are like torpedoes. I'm going to try to get them out of here because I think they're eating a bunch of my egg scatter eggs. But I had to give up on that. Wow, that is, well, I guess probably with all the lakes in that area, probably helps to eat a lot of the TDS out of the water and lower the pH. Southwest Florida, so that'd be kind of in the Gulf area. Yeah, it is possible my company might be doing some training down in Florida this winter. I went last year during November, but I had some court stuff I had to take care of, so I couldn't go. And then it was planned for November this year. I have court this November, but got postponed, so might be able to make it down. I think it's Daytona though, where I work at a auto repair shop, so doing some type of training at the Daytona Speedway. Do a little driving too. Huh. That's quite a variety. Here the water is about 230, 240 usually out of the tap. But the pH on it is actually fairly low. It's about 7.2. Ooh, just had a Chinese algae eater fight. Don't see that very often. Came over to his lair. Wasn't cool. Now the Pea Puffers are all pissed off. Yeah, Florida, I bet getting around, especially with all the swampland and everything. I have to do a lot of driving up and around nature to get where you need to go. Montana is just so big, you kind of expect, every town is about an hour. And actually, the big cities, the next big town to us is about an hour and a half away, and an hour to the next big town after that, and then about another 6 hours to the next big town, well, big for Montana. Yeah, I live kind of near the University District here in Missoula, and we had Pearl Jam Friday night. Two of the members of Pearl Jam live here, so it was pretty wild and pretty loud. Even though I'm about 2 miles away from the university, you could still, I guess they borrowed some like super sound system from some mega group, and yeah, it was, I don't know if, even though either of you know who Pearl Jam is, I'm not really a big fan, but it was a pretty wild night. Those Danios, they just look crazy. When I first got them, I had two that I really were like psychotic, and they ended up getting some type of neurological thing and died. Well, ended up having to take them from the tank, and then eventually they died in the coal tank. When I was in high school, one of my good friends sold the property that one of the band members lives on, so it was kind of a shared property. They lived up the hill. And they didn't jam up there very often, but every once in a while they'd all be up there jamming, and we'd climb up the hill and listen to them. And again, I wasn't a big fan. I just thought, I was like, oh, cool, I get free tickets to free live performance from Pearl Jam. Well, I think I was planning on a half hour, an hour and 45 minutes later. Favorite song? I like I like classical. I like Marty Williams. I have to say probably my favorite group, though, is Pink Floyd. Their old stuff. Currently, I'd have to say Cirrus Minor. Their Sauce Full of Secrets. That's some stuff that'll blow your mind. But yeah, I like Mostly older music. Not a big fan of most of the newer stuff. Alright. Well, good night, Jeff. Thanks for stopping by. Probably going to be ending it here in a minute or two. How about you, Henry? What's your favorite song, favorite music? It's one of my banana plants. I'm kind of behind on banana plant propagation. I don't know if I've ever heard any of his music. I'll have to Google it. Oh, I'm back. That was weird. I think when I said Google a song, my phone started Googling that, and it cut me out of the live stream. Oh, phone's starting to lock up. And YouTube not responding. Yeah, I'll have to check them out. Yeah, I remember you talking once about, was it some tsunami or some flood or something? How you made it here? It's because of that. Always wanted to visit Puerto Rico. I love gardening, and always thought, well, even Florida, you know, I could probably grow stuff like crazy. Crazy there. That star fruit, I know you'd mentioned before you can grow star fruit. That's something I'm super jealous of. I got star fruit that's imported to Montana. Can't imagine how good it is fresh. Yeah, I was actually raised on a farm too. Had milk cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, peacocks, peafowl. But like to get back into it. Yeah, that would be, I can't imagine. I bet that's flavor explosion. Up here about, well, you can get apricots. Peaches don't grow very well. Lots of apples, raspberries. You know, huckleberries are pretty awesome. You can get them fresh. But yeah, we definitely don't have the variety. I've even heard stuff like persimmons. They don't grow around here, but I've heard if you get them fresh and ripe, they're pretty tasty. Yeah, if I lived in a place where I could grow mangoes, papaya, star fruit, maybe some coconut, oh man, I'd be a fruitarian almost. Yeah, I bet. I remember my first time trying it about 6 years ago. I'd seen it at the store before, but like, I'm gonna give this a try. And it just didn't even taste like, it was just like so much like candy. It was just such a, it's hard to explain the flavor, but so amazing. It's like, wow, that's good. But yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to get it ripe and fresh. Yeah, mango fresh would be pretty cool. And to be able to get fruit mostly year round, like here, it's July and August. That's when you get your fruit. Some fruit, like plums, you wait until the first frost, which is funny. The second week of August in Montana is typically 110 plus the whole week, but we usually get snow by the end of August. So it's like right now we're in that change of mid-August where there's actually, even though it was 100 degrees 2 days ago, there's snow warnings in the mountains tonight. I got a shrimp I have to cull. Put them in with the loaches. Chinese algae eater. Protecting his lair. Looks like all the peas are absent again. Well, you're making me hungry. Oh, I wish we could get good fresh fruit around here. Yeah, the raspberries, and those are pretty good. But they all dried up about a week ago. Right now the apples are just coming into ripeness. And when they come in, they're pretty good. There's only certain varieties that do well around here, but Macintosh are pretty old, traditional breed of apples that do well here. Yeah, peaches. It's almost impossible to do peaches. There's a few people that do. I'm kind of on a zone 4, kind of leaning towards a zone 3. And Montana's mostly semi-arid, so it's pretty much desert. If it weren't for the winter. These Chinese algae eaters are active today. Yeah, just the idea of being able to have a place where any day I could go out and get fresh fruit, that would be. But I also like having winters that get rid of all the bugs seasonally. That's nice, but I guess there's trade-offs for everything. Yeah, gooseberries will grow around here. I think that's the only thing that you listed. Yeah, cherries, actually, Flathead Lake. They are kind of known for they do a really dark cherry, a flathead cherry. But with the lake there, it's such a large lake that it kind of creates a lake effect, and so it doesn't freeze as hard around the lake, so the cherry trees survive the winter. Where I live here in Missoula, so there's a lot of rattlesnakes in Montana, but Missoula gets so cold that rattlesnakes can't survive the winter, so we actually don't have any venomous snakes. The only thing we really have is like cougars, bear, and there is wolverines and these big land otters that they call fishers. And of course, bison, moose, elk, and deer. But it's really the only things that'll kill you would be the wolves or bears or cougars. Some of the river otters get pretty mean. This last summer, a band of river otters were going up the Harrison River and jumping onto people's boats and attacking them, ripping people up. Yeah, that would be cool. I've seen mangoes rooted from aquariums. I thought, my little garden living room, I really want to do a half terrarium house. Like, have some ponds in it, have some citrus trees, maybe a star fruit tree. Have a couple macaws flying around. Yeah, grapes is something that will grow around here. They don't get very big though. So kind of what we have is, because of our position with the sun, is that we get really long days in the summer. So in July, I want to say the days are 16 hours long, or 16 hours of sunlight. So not as much as like say in Alaska, but we do get some really long days that with certain produce you can get really good growth in a short period of time. Yeah, the grapes, they just don't get as juicy or as sweet. You can do some of the more dry grapes, like wine type grapes, but Concords and stuff like that, the big juicy sweet ones, don't do very well. Sea grapes, are they some type of aquatic plant? Or are they just one that grows in brackish water? Huh. That'd be interesting. That's funny. She's probably his great 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 grandmother. Can't imagine the hundreds of fry she's given me over the years. Huh. Yeah, I've never heard of those before. I'll have to check them out. I bet they're, being next to the salt water with all the minerals, probably really full of nutrition. It's one thing I was kind of reading on that arrowhead plant. It's actually a Sagittaria, that broadleaf arrowhead. But I guess they make little potato type tubers. You have to cook them, but I guess they're pretty tasty, and they you have to boil them. You don't want to eat them raw. But Yeah, I don't think I want to grow enough of it in my aquariums to harvest it to eat. Wow, lemon. Huh. And you probably can't get those imported to America, I'm guessing. You know, one thing I've wanted to try, I've always heard like the pineapple in Hawaii, that there's pineapple that are only good for a couple days after harvest and are so much better than the stuff that we get here. Just so much fruit to try. Yeah, I wonder if sugar cane would grow in my window fish tank. I've thought about that. I don't know if that'd be too wet for it. Well, that's cool. Do they have pretty big seeds in them, or are they just kind of standard size grape seeds? Huh, one big seed. Yeah, I'll have to Google those and check them out. Yeah, I bet they be pretty. I don't know. I just love fruit. Rhubarb is one of the few things that we have most of the warm season, but it's more of a vegetable. But I don't know if it's too hot down there for rhubarb. That's one of the few things that grows here most all summer long. Always like having it in the garden, so if there's nothing else, at least there's some rhubarb. Yeah, I wonder how they would grow inside a house. I don't know if I'd get enough sunlight on my eastern window. If I had a southern window, I could probably grow them inside. I have a fruit farm and a fish farm. In my yard, I grow mostly plum trees. I grow a lot of herbs. I grow a lot of edible flowers too, but I actually grow most of my own medicine. I do a lot of tincture making and poultices. I do a lot of herb stuff. But as far as fruit, plums and prunes, or Italian prunes, which are just kind of a smaller plum. And I have some Japanese plums, which are pretty big. Didn't have any plums this year. It was a weird year. We had a really early spring followed by another negative 10-degree cold snap, so everything bloomed and then it froze. So that was right when the plums were blooming, so kind of a bummer crop on that this year. My parents, though, they have a orchard, and they have a Rome Beauty apple, which did pretty good, Macintosh apple tree, which did pretty good, and a pear tree. Pears are another thing that grow around here, but prunes and plums, they didn't make it, or at least fruit this year. My grandma has grown lemons and limes in her house. You'll have to fulfill my dream of having like a terrarium greenhouse house that, I guess you live in a place where you don't have to worry about winter so much, but yeah, always thought it'd be cool to have like my own tropical jungle inside my house. Yeah, you don't need a greenhouse down there. You probably just need some wind block from time to time and some heat shades. Yeah. What's funny though, a couple years ago, there's been a couple times here recently where northern Florida has been colder than it was here in Montana. I remember seeing that. It's like, they're about 10 degrees cooler than us. That's weird. But I think it's getting that eastern cold weather before the west does. Yeah, I never would have thought it'd be colder in Florida than Montana. But yeah, I bet. On something so unexpected, the farms probably aren't set up with any type of systems to prevent the frost damage. I know sometimes if you can get sprinklers on stuff right away, that can help. And see, a lot of the stuff that does good around here kind of requires a freeze to make the fruit ripen. Plums, and sometimes apples would be a lot sweeter if they frost before they get fully ripe. Oh, I bet. Yeah, I think I do remember that. I used to drink a lot of Florida natural orange juice. I think that was the year it like gained $1.50 per canister. Like, I'm gonna slow down on my orange juice consumption. Pea dudes hanging out here. They must all be hiding in the shadows. Alright, well, I think I'm gonna wrap this up and get to bed. You're gonna have to get us a live, so I don't know how good your Wi-Fi works in your fish room, but get us a fish room tour one of these days. Mountain apples. Well, what we call mountain apples or horse turds, but I don't know if there's an edible mountain apple. Yeah, never heard of them. I wonder if they ever import them into. And for me, if they don't sell them at the natural food store, I don't generally come across it. Wonder if they're expensive having to ship them from Hawaii. Yeah, our fruit selection here is kind of limited. I think we get whatever the rest of the country doesn't want. We get the leftovers. All right, Henry. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. Sure, I'll see you on chat somewhere tomorrow. Yeah, have a good night. I'm not sure. I might do it, yeah, it's hard to say. If I start doing this every weekend or try to get a schedule, or, might want to come up with more to talk about before I do many more, but just mostly wanted to get a couple out there to get some practice. But yeah, you're gonna have to give it a try one of these days. Did that last one in vertical mode, but like horizontal more. But yeah, the chat thing is difficult. Yeah, we'll have to do that sometime. Have a good night, Henry.